Welcome to the Sports Degos with Salty and Josh.
Good luck. You're gonna need it.
This is Chris Hansen from Bleacher Report, and you're listening to Salty and Josh, the Sports Degos.
I gotta clean my garage. That sucks.
They have a radio show you can't refuse.
Are we haters? I don't consider myself a hater, because in sports, you never want your rival to win. Shut your mouth. I want to do some talking once in a while, huh? You're killing me over here. You're killing me over here.
Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, like a guitar.
Hi, this is Russell Baxter from ProFootballGuru.com. You're listening to Salty and Josh, the Sports Degos.
All right, guys, welcome to the Sports Degos. I am your host, Salty, and my co-host in studio, as always, is Josh. Josh, how you doing today, man?
Salty, I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to be back in the Dego Dungeon. Number two, buddy. We made it past the first one. I thought everything went well. We had a great discussion with Dr. Death, Raider superfan, permanent resident of the Black Hole. It was nice to get caught up with him and talk about fandom. And now tonight, I think we got another great guest, another great show awaiting us, and look forward to it.
Yeah, Josh, I couldn't be more excited. This show almost didn't happen, Josh. This will go down in history as the show that almost did not happen. Here it is, our second live broadcast of the Sports Degos, something we're trying to get off the ground. And it's my wife's birthday today, Josh. So I had to suffer through 3 hours of IKEA. Josh, you ever been to IKEA?
No, we don't have IKEA here, at least not around where I live.
Josh, you're a blessed man. Let me tell you about IKEA. It has 2 floors. The top floor is displays of all of the cheap junk that's made there. It's basically like Walmart, but, a little more expensive, if you will. The top floor is displays, and the bottom floor is a giant warehouse where you take the numbers from the displays, and you go down to the warehouse and you buy it. Josh, here's what I noticed. I'm a very analytical type person. For the first 20 minutes, and they have arrows where you're supposed to walk, Josh. So everybody starts in the beginning, you follow these arrows like cattle, and then you end up at the end. For the first 20 minutes, the guys are engaged with the women. They're talking, they're planning. I like this couch, I like that couch, I like that entertainment center, yada, yada, yada. Josh, towards the end, towards the middle, I started noticing more and more guys on their phones. More and more guys were sitting away while the wives were checking out the displays. The face of the guys started to inflict a little bit of, tiredness, if you will. By the end, Josh, guys were yelling at their wives. They were saying, come on, don't go here, don't go there. They were just verbalizing that they had it. There's nothing worse, Josh, to me anyway, than having to spend hours at a place talking about fabrics and decorations and china. Oh my gosh, Josh. But you know what? I did it for the sake of the Sports Degos. I had to take my day and celebrate her birthday so we could do this show. That's how dedicated I am, Josh. That's how dedicated I am. Thank you very much.
Wow. Salty, you are a man dedicated, sir. To take on the task of waiting in the idiot chair along with the other idiots that are waiting for their wives to shop. So let me ask you this, Salty. Did you have to hang on to the purse?
No, Josh. We went in there saying we're not going to spend any money. It was purely a browsing experience. What I did have to do, Josh, toward the end is we made a rule. The rule was that my wife had to have her arm locked inside my arm the entire time we were walking through the store, and she was not allowed to leave my side, because if she did, we'd spend 15 minutes at every display. We could have been there till it closed, Josh. So I developed a new tactic. Wife's arm doesn't leave mine. I walk at a slow but steady pace, and then get out of the store much faster. If only I had known that one going in. But, Josh, you live and learn. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, you don't know what I'm saying.
Salty, I would have loved to have heard everything you just said, but that backwoods internet, that
We have lost Josh, our co-host, for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but we're gonna try to get back to him and possibly give him a call and see where he's at on the phone. Anyway, tonight on the show, we got a lot going on tonight. We got a lot going on every night on the show. We're gonna talk about what beer you're drinking. What beer are you putting down while listening to the show? We're gonna talk about coaching styles. We're gonna talk about what makes a good coach. What makes a good coach? What makes a coach worthy of listening to? What makes a coach worthy of being a coach? We're going to talk all about what makes a good coach. A motivator, player,
The person
personnel.
who you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Player personnel, etc. We want to find out exactly what a good coach is made of and what it is exactly you want to play for as a player. We're also going to get to Shut Your Fat Mouth. Shut Your Fat Mouth, another exciting topic of which guy this week do we need to say shut your fat mouth to?
The person whom you're trying
Which
to
guy
reach
this week
is
do we need to
currently
say, hey,
unavailable.
shut up, you're saying too much. We're gonna get to the topic of fat of the week. Who's the fat stat of the week? Which guy is coming in a little overweight and maybe should watch the pounds a little bit. We're also going to get into the whopping historical fact of the week, as well as our news stories. Josh, are you with me?
Are we doing a radio show tonight?
We're doing a radio show right now, Josh.
Or are we live?
Oh, we're live, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. It's great to be back in the Dago Dungeon again for the second time tonight.
Thanks
I
for
love
coming
my
back.
internet provider.
Thanks for coming back. You got great internet out there in the backwoods of Tennessee, wherever you're at.
I was yelling at you about your backwoods internet, and apparently my backwoods internet took a dive.
I'm surprised they know what internet is out there.
Out there?
Out there. I'm trying to relate to you. I'm trying to relate, you backwoods. I'm trying to relate.
The guy spends 4 days in Tennessee in the later part of last year, and then look what happens. You've already
Hey, y'all.
picked it up.
We're doing a radio show out there. If you're all out there, listen up.
Hey, y'all, we're going to be talking some Big Orange football today. Talking about them balls.
Maybe orange and black, a little Oregon State Beaver action. Josh, the news stories. What are the news stories we're covering this week?
The news stories. We got a few things to talk about this week, none of which I have written out in front of us. No, I'm kidding. We can talk about deer antler spray. Kind of been a hot topic.
Is that like Axe? Is that like the new Axe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It could be. Except instead of your pits, it goes under your tongue, apparently.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, our weekly Manti Te'o segment.
Manti Te'o, loving it.
This week in Manti Te'o, is he gay? is Tuiasosopo gay? Actually, I heard he was recovering.
Recovering.
Whatever that means.
Yeah,
anyway,
not there's anything wrong with that, Josh.
No, not anything wrong. That's an
wrong
interesting way to describe it, I suppose. Anyways, we'll get to it.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Adrian Peterson and Mr. Peyton Manning. Just announced tonight, MVP and Comeback Player of the Year. Should that have been flip-flopped? Should one of them got both awards? Either. I think that was kind of a coin toss there. And then we're going to really get into – this is something that I really want us to spend some time on, obviously. But
was this what we were talking about last week, but we didn't have time to get to it? We wanted to really emphasize it today?
Yes, it was something you and I have had many conversations offline about.
Many.
And what we want to discuss, we want to talk about the Niners, and we don't want to just talk about, the potential for the Niners, to win that 6th championship, tying the Pittsburgh Steelers. We want to talk about what historical significance and impact this team has and had over the years of their existence. I mean, we're talking about going back to the days playing at Kezar Stadium, John Brody, all the way up to now, Colin Kaepernick, the pistol offense, and all the innovations and all the things that the 49ers organization have contributed on and off the field to the NFL. That's something we definitely want to get into.
Do you think that's a lot? We should just hit a commercial and just start talking right then and there.
It's almost like we should do a separate podcast and just call it, Niner Nation.
I wouldn't be
I almost threw up a
against
little
it.
bit. I almost threw up a little bit.
I wouldn't be against it because there's a lot to cover there. So again, we'll come back. We'll talk about deer antler spray this week in Manti Teo. We'll talk about Adrian Peterson and Peyton Manning. Should those awards have been flip-flop? And we'll also break down the historical significance of the San Francisco 49ers. Coming back, we're going to talk about what we're drinking. This commercial is brought to you by Christopher Hansen.
This is Chris Hansen from Bleacher Report, and you're listening to Salty and Josh, the Sports Degos.
Hi, this is Russell Baxter from ProFootballGuru.com. You're listening to Salty and Josh, the Sports Degos. They have a radio show you can't refuse.
All right, Josh, welcome back to the show. Let's start it off. What are you drinking tonight, Josh? What are you drinking?
Salty, I've kind of gone outside my normal realm of beer drinking. I like a heavier beer. I typically like stouts and bocks and nut brown ales and all that good stuff. I went with a Samuel Adams double bock. You actually can't even buy it in the regular beer store or convenience store. You got to buy it in a liquor store. Here in Tennessee, we separate liquor stores and beer stores.
We do the same. All
right, so so if it's above a certain alcohol content, you got to buy it in the liquor store. Well, this beer, I had to buy it in the liquor store, but it's sipping beer. It's not Mick Ultra or Coors Light. You're not pouring one down your face. You know what I mean? I'm just barely sipping on this thing. It's like kind of coffee-like. It's really yummy. I really, really dig it. I'm gonna post up a picture of it on our Facebook page.
Oh, there you go. Samuel Adams Bach 2, you said, or double Bach?
Double Bach is what it's called.
Double Bach. Josh, I went back a few years. I resorted back to being 15, maybe 16. I think I'm incriminating myself.
Did you go with the Mickey's wide mouth?
No. Mickey's Ice would have been the more ideal choice, or the Beast. Dirty 30, Milwaukee's best ice, right?
I can't believe you. I didn't want Mickey's wide mouth, and you actually trumped me with Mickey's Ice, dude.
That's the gangster beer, baby. No, Josh, we started this new Dave Ramsey budget thing where you're only allowed a certain amount of money, and basically your life's over, right? Your wife's happy because you got more money in the bank, but you have no spending. I got $50 a month. I don't know, $25 a month. So anyway, I got $7 to go buy a 6-pack. I go to the store, and everything is $6.99, Josh. 30 cents for deposit. So I haven't got enough money for a 6-pack. So I'm looking Coronas, no. Dos Equis, no. My favorite beer, nothing. I couldn't even buy Bud Light or Coors Light. I was thinking of buying maybe 3 24 ounces or something like that, but I don't want to do that. So, Josh, I found a 6-pack for $4.99. It's in bottles.
Red, white, and blue.
It's in bottles because, Josh, I don't drink canned beer. I mean, I will on occasion, but if I'm going to buy beer, I'm buying in bottles, right? $4.99. What do you think it is?
It's the red, white, and blue, baby. It's got to be Pabst Blue Ribbon.
PBR. Yeah. I haven't drank this beer in years, my friend. In fact, I was making fun of it yesterday to another guy. We were kind of ripping on PBR because in Portland, all the hipsters like drinking PBR. All of a sudden, it's popular again. I'm like, Pabst Blue Ribbon? It's freaking horrible. It's horrible beer.
Ironic.
It's horrible beer. I don't get me started on that. Anyway, so I'm trying to stomach some PBR tonight. It's been an interesting day. I spent the whole day at IKEA. Now I'm drinking PBR. What the hell's wrong with me? Anyway.
Welcome to married life, dude.
Yeah, married life 101. No money, PBR, IKEA. Life sucks. Don't ever get married.
Hey, but you got a radio show, man.
This is true. And we have ones of listeners.
There's almost 2 people listening to this show.
Hey, here's one now calling in, Josh. Here's one now.
All right.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. Who do we have on the line here?
Who do we line? Who you been waiting for?
What do you mean who I've been waiting for? I've been waiting for nobody.
You ain't been waiting for nobody. I'm your worst nightmare and your best friend all rolled into one.
You're my wife? You changed your voice.
Pretty close. But here, let me tell you something. Let me just start right off the bat.
Okay.
If I got to call a show and I got to hear 2 guys that I'm supposed to talk to, that I'm supposed to get along with, bad enough they're relatives, and one of them says, "Gee, this beer is yummy," and the other one says, "I don't drink beer out of cans. Holy mackerel. What is that? Yummy?
Who
Josh,
said yummy?
you really
Who said yummy? Did Josh say yummy?
You said yummy. It's on the recording. It's on the iPod, the pad post thing.
Ah, jeez.
You said yummy.
Who, me or Josh?
Josh, you said I don't drink beer out of cans.
Yeah, I
And then you
don't.
wanna
It
call
tastes
somebody
gross.
else- You want to rag on somebody else for being a hipster?
Yeah, you should come up here.
All right, I take that back. I'm drinking a very manly double bock that tastes like, I don't know, AstroTurf and gasoline.
I'm drinking beer that I brewed myself and poured in a Folgers can.
It's bad enough. It's bad enough. I called in and rebuke you guys on your own show. I'm in trouble with the wife. I think I woke her up.
Oh, no. Did you? Everybody's getting in trouble with the
Wait.
wives.
Wait. You're going to call up our show, rag on us, and then you're going to say, uh-oh, I got in trouble with my wife.
I'm serious, though.
Really? Anyway.
Here's the worst part. I'm in trouble with the wife, and I didn't even blow anything up on the front porch.
That's the worst. You didn't even
You
do
didn't even
anything to
shoot
deserve
bottle
it.
rockets down the hallway.
All right.
That's why I'm screaming.
Before we go any further, let me welcome our caller. This is who we refer to as Uncle Mark, or Uncle Mosh, if you will. Uncle Mark is here to discuss coaching with us tonight. He has 20 years in the profession of coaching, high school level. He has coached wrestling, cross country, and track and field. He has multiple championships, team and individual championships in each of those sports. He's semi-retired now. He's still coaching 8-year-olds, playing baseball and stuff like that. And he's still always had his volunteer job, which he's done now for 36 years, which is being a life coach for my co-host, Josh. Uncle Mark?
Oh, that was nice. That was nice.
Is it a lie?
Oh no, whatever. Just is you gonna pick on me?
Is it not the truth? Don't be a sad sack, Murph.
God.
Don't be a sad sack. I told you to come on the show, but you can't be a sad sack.
All right,
I told you
I'm
if
sorry,
you're on the
I'm
show, you can't be a sad sack.
All right, I'm good. I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so let me explain to you what just happened. I'm hearing the intro. It sounds good. I'm like, wow, who is this guy they're talking about? Oh, wait a minute, that's me. And then all this, yeah. And I'm like, oh, nice stuff. And then I remembered, I got sausages for fingers, okay? It's a curse, okay? I got sausages for fingers, and I don't have a neck. I get that from my mom, okay? I go from shoulders to ears. I got no neck, and I got no sausages, and I'm trying to talk on this little iPhone, and my face hit the off button. My cheek hit the off button, if you will. So sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, so where were we?
It's what happens when you got a foot wide
You
cheeks.
just got introed, and I was a little disappointed because he referred to you as my life coach for 36 years because I can't operate functionally on my own, and I kind of depressed me a little bit, and he yelled at me for being a sad sack. So now I'm back. I'm good.
Well, you are a little bit of a sad sack, but this is coming from him. So what does that say?
Mean.
What is a sad sack, if you will?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's talk about sad sacks. What's sad is, hey, welcome to the Sports Dungeon and the two Degos and blah, blah, blah. This is Salty and Josh. What is that? What I'm screaming is, if we're going to be claiming our heritage like the two of you should, and I'm proud of you, yes, I said it on the radio, I am proud of you for that, but those names have got to go.
What do you mean those names got to go?
Wait a minute, excuse me a second. I am older and I was talking. Yes,
Josh,
it's your show.
Who told this guy to come on?
And this is Salty and Josh. No, what your names are is Sonny and Murph. Okay? Don't make me have to come out there. Your names are Sonny and Murph. Now, how much more of a Dago name does that sound? Sonny and Murph. And Josh, please, let's go put on our bowling shirts. Why don't we go to the soccer field and kick the ball and not keep score? That would be great. Come on, fellas. Sonny and Murph.
Sonny and Murph,
right, let's move on.
Sonny and Murph.
Sonny and Murph.
Sonny and Murph.
I can get used to that. I can get used to
like
that.
It is your name.
This is true. Hey, maybe we can change those IDs we got. Maybe we'll make them like this.
This is Chris Hansen from Bleacher Report, and you're listening to
Sonny
and
Murph.
the Sports Degos.
Oh,
That works.
I like that.
That works. Okay.
right.
We'll roll with it.
I might have to say I'm proud of you twice.
Hey,
Thank you very
save
Good.
it. It's only the second show. So, Uncle Mark, you got 20
Yes, sir.
years coaching experience. How did you get into coaching? Why did you want to do it? Where did you get your first start? And what did you first do?
Oh man, that's a whole lot of. How much time do we got?
I want to sit back and drink my yummy bottled beer, so go ahead.
Okay, I tell you, I always knew I was going to teach. I always knew I was going to be a teacher. I was always a good teacher. Your dad, my late brother, was a good teacher. There's something about certain people that you always know are going to be teachers, and I always knew I was going to be a teacher. So I get a job as a teacher, and they tell me they need a coach. Well, I've been an assistant on this sport and that sport, but they needed a head coach. Well, okay, I've never coached girls before, so I get this job. I said, yeah, I can do it. I get this job, right? I'm 265 pounds, and I'm going to be coaching cross country. What do I know about cross country? Well, the only thing I knew about cross country was I loved their T-shirt. Their teacher said, "Your sports punishment is our sports fun." What? There's nothing fun about running. Well, I start coaching. I'm an assistant wrestling coach, and I start as the head coach of this cross country team. Well, I fall in love with it, man. I go out there and I start. Man, I'm absolutely I'm taking the Hitchcock approach. All right, bear with me. Alfred Hitchcock, arguably the greatest producer director in the modern movie era. Okay,
Who's Alfred Hitchcock?
I'm going to tell you what made Hitch the best. What made Hitch the best was that he knew his characters better than anybody. You could ask him, Hitch, I got a problem with the dialogue on page 37 of the remake. Okay, is it between this character and that character? Is it when Norman Bates approaches? I'm telling you, the guy was a genius. So I modeled my coaching career after, believe it or not, after Hitchcock's approach to movie making. What I would do is I would try to learn as much as I could about the sport. Parlay that with what I knew about motivating teenagers, and it worked for me. So you immediately get involved with something, and you start having a little bit of success. Your program starts growing, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you're winning state titles. You got kids coming and wanting to run for you. You got one thing or another building, and it builds, and the next thing you know, you got a dynasty sitting right there on your doorstep. So it's a matter of putting the work and the time and the effort into it, and that's how I approached coaching, and I do that with anything I coached. So I took the Hitchcock approach, and I said, I'm going to learn what I can. I went to coaching camps. I took my teams to camps, and without actually having been a runner, and I was a runner. Sure, we all run 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like that. And I ran when I played sports, but to actually look at the sport as a science, man, that's all it took. And I think that's where a lot of coaches are lacking. Is they don't pour themselves into it. So you asked me how I got into it, and that's how I got into it. I didn't want to fail.
Let me ask you something. You said something I thought was pretty cool, is that you said you had kids coming to you and wanting to be on your team. There's a lot of talk in coaching about, there's the players coach, there's the technician, there's coaches in the NFL, there's managers in baseball, there's, coaches in the NBA like Phil Jackson. There's certain guys that have something about them that attract players, that attract athletes. They want to go be part of whatever it is that coach brings. What is it that is it the coach is himself, or is it the winning? Is it the success? Was it when you started rattling off state champions? Is that when you started getting the attention, or was it prior to that? Was it as you were building? What were they attracted to? Were they attracted to the record, or was it the man?
Hello?
Hello?
Man.
You there?
Did you
Yeah, I'm
hear
here.
that?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Did you hear
hear any of
Josh's
that?
question?
Yeah, I heard the whole question. I started to answer.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah.
We didn't hear you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, so what I was going to say is I had huge teams. I had huge teams even before we were good. You know, I had a couple philosophies that were different. Number one is I never cut. Okay, I never cut an athlete. I kicked kids off the teams for rules infractions, and I benched athletes for rules infractions for violating team rules. But I never cut a player for lack of performance. Okay, I played my varsity athletes. I played my best athletes in the varsity positions, but I never cut a kid. And I got.
Sounds like we might be having some audio difficulties with Coach Salty. We'll see if we can't get him back here quickly.
I wonder if his fat face pushed the fat phone again and lost him from the air.
I can hear you guys.
Oh, there we go.
You
Coach
keep
Salty,
dropping off.
Do you want to try to call us in on a landline? Would that help? It seems that we're having you cut in and out just a little bit.
Yeah, you want me to call you on another number?
Yeah, call us back on the same number. Can you call us back on a landline?
You mean from my landline?
Yeah, from your home phone.
Yeah. Let me try. Okay, let me call you right back.
Okay.
Good deal. All right, thank you. All right, so Sonny, I think what he was getting into there was that he was talking about never cutting a player. That you know there are certainly athletes that can earn their way off of teams, but to just outright cut somebody on performance, I think that's a pretty good approach when it comes to amateur sports. You know, obviously when it comes to professionals, you know, they're paid to be there, and you're going to get paid to win. And you're going to get paid on production, whether you're gauged by stats or anything else. But you're going to be graded on that. Whereas when it comes to amateur sports, I think that's a great approach because it allows growth. It allows you may have an athlete that's maybe not there at the beginning, but you don't cut them, and it gives them the opportunity to grow with the team and grow within their own individual performance. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but isn't that the same as not keeping score in third grade or not keeping score in fifth grade basketball or soccer? Like, I get it, and I think it's a smart idea, and I'll be interested to kind of ask him that question. Uncle Mark, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Hey,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Got you loud and clear.
You brought up an interesting point. Yeah, it's much better. You brought up an interesting point about never cutting somebody. Isn't that the same as like not keeping score though in sports games? Or what was your thinking behind that?
And I'll give you that's a really good comeback question. Here's the difference. I believe that high school sports are the purest form of sports there is. Okay, and I'll tell you why. We're gonna in a minute. We're gonna talk about, you guys and I are gonna talk about. We're gonna banter a little bit about our predictions for the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna say some things that are, and guys are gonna say some things, and there's gonna be some fun, and it's gonna sound a little bit contrary to what I'm saying now. But you'll understand why, because we're talking about professional sports versus high school sports. I think that in high school sports, I think the fun, the rivalry, I think the belonging, and I think that the impression that children, and these are children, don't get me wrong, when you're talking from 14 to 18, these are kids. And us as coaches we spend a lot of quality time with these kids. We spend oftentimes more time with these kids than their parents do. And I'm not talking about, okay, yeah, their parents say goodnight to them and their parents check on them before they go to bed. Their parents see them in the morning and they give them money and they give them the car keys and they tell them to have a good day at school. But I'm talking about pure quality time. If you're coaching a kid and you're going 3 and 4 hours afterwards, or you pick them up for an event that's far away, and you're picking them up at 6:30 in the morning, and you're not having them back till 7 o'clock at night, or you're going to an all-weekend wrestling tournament, and you're spending, 48, sometimes hours straight with their kids, you're getting to know these guys, okay? And they're learning from you, and they're taking their cues off of what you do. So you're teaching them how to win and how to lose, and you're teaching them how to conduct themselves in public. You're teaching them how to conduct themselves in private, and you're molding these kids. And every kid needs a place to be. So when I say that high school sports are the purest form of sports, they are. It's a microcosm of what they're going to learn in life. Okay, they're going to have to perform to be at the best level. I had JV teams, I had varsity teams, and when only 7 can run on varsity, and when I'm carrying 36 on my roster, that meant that 29 were going to be running JV. Are you going to be content with JV, or are you going to want to step up and earn that varsity spot? Okay? So, and the difference between that and, like I was teaching you guys about soccer and not keeping score, is that the varsity did compete and the JV did compete, and we won a lot. There was a stretch when I had a 6-year run in our county alone where we were undefeated in boys and girls varsity and JV. You bring these kids in and you help them to understand what it takes to put the blood, sweat, and tears into getting something. You set goals. I was listening to Joe Theismann this morning. He was doing an interview from down at Super Bowl, and he was talking about the recruits that come in to the NFL, and he said, by the time they get to us, they have the skills. What we teach them in the NFL is how to be mentally tough. I think he's wrong. Okay, who am I to say that Theismann's wrong? Okay, some high school coach from Podunk, Tennessee. Well, let me tell you what, I taught my kids how to be mentally tough. I taught them how to visualize what they were going to do. I taught them how to say to themselves, look, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this to get to this level. And if I screw up and I bring in something that's going to be a detriment to my performance, how good could I have really been? And make them start questioning themselves. And when they question themselves, they question their actions. And when they question their actions, they have a tendency to make the right choices. And that's being mentally tough. And that's what I wanted to bring to my kids. And I think that was the draw to me as I was a coach. Hey, I loved my kids. They loved me. We played a lot. We laughed a lot. We had a lot of fun. We had a good time doing what we did. But they understood that there's a time to work and a time to screw around. And they knew, and being part of being mentally tough was learning the difference. And that's, and I think that was the draw. And I think that was the question you asked me earlier, Josh, was Murph, was where does the attraction come from? Are you a player's coach or are you a technician? Can you be both? Yeah, you sure can. Do you have to be a Nick Saban and be inaccessible to your athletes? I don't think so. But you can't argue with his championships. So, for what it works for me as a high school coach in the purest form of sports, I think it works.
I've heard it said before, and I thought you were going to go a different direction. I heard high school sports is the purest form because in the pros you're playing for money, in college you're playing for a name, and then in high school you're playing for chicks. That was kind of bad. That was sorry. You were making a good point. I made a stupid joke.
Yeah, but you know what? Let me give you an example. Okay, we're gonna talk. Me and Murph were arguing earlier. We were arguing about the Super Bowl. Okay, now let me give you an example. Okay, we got a crosstown rival. So I'm over here and I'm coaching at the high school A, and our biggest rival is B. Okay, and we have the pep rallies where we got fairly decent sized schools. We got 2,000 kids in each school, and we got a pep rally, and we've got the little skits where we go out there and we we got a dummy dressed up like the bad guys, and from the other team, and we've got the T-shirts with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our head coach and our offensive coordinator and their head coach. We got the good, the bad, and the ugly. Fun stuff like that. And we do all this stuff, and we have the bonfire, and we do all this stuff. You do all that great stuff, that you remember for years. You remember those high school pep rallies. You remember that championship game. You remember that playoff. Are you going to remember your Super Bowl party from 4 years ago? Okay, some nerd like Murph might, but most normal people aren't. Okay? Well,
they have some pretty epic Super Bowl parties now.
I remember the chicken wings and when Uncle Mark tore his shirt off. That was pretty epic.
That was the best.
That was epic.
Yeah, but that was different. That was different. Okay, we don't know what led up to that. Okay,
what, did you take your pants off the previous year?
Statute of limitations, baby.
It ran out.
Yeah, that's what I'm screaming. Hey, witness protection is a good thing. Okay, anyway, so my point is, so I'm coaching at A. B goes on to the next level. Am I going to root for them because they're from my hometown? You betcha. You betcha. Am I going to do it inwardly? Yeah, more than likely. Am I going to go because you know what? Because those same kids in that same hometown, they go to the same youth group at church. They may have gone to middle school together. They're still going to be friends. If they go to the Army, they're going to say, oh, hey, man, are you from Murfreesboro, Tennessee? Yeah. Are you from Salem, Oregon? Yeah. Okay. So, but the difference is, at the professional level, it's not like that. I'll give you an example. I'm a Raider fan. Why? Is it because we're all related? Is it because that's in our blood? Probably.
Yes.
But I'm a Raider fan. Would I ever outwardly root for the 49ers? No.
No, never.
No. But I would not outwardly root for the 49ers. I don't even, if I were driving across country, I would go 4 states away from Montana. Okay? I'm telling you, just to get from Minnesota to Oregon, I would drop all the way to New Mexico just because I don't want to get near Montana. The point is, I want the 49ers to win on Sunday because I am a Raider fan. Okay, how does that work? How does that work? I'll tell you how it works.
That one down.
What? Come on, really?
Listen to the argument. Don't you start yelling, come on.
There's no argument for that. That's insane. That's insane.
I tell Sonny all the time, just because you're louder doesn't make you right.
You're exactly right. So listen to what I'm trying to tell you. As a true Raider fan, I have to want the Niners to win. Let me tell you why. As a true Raider fan, there are 3 teams that I hate more than anything in the whole world. They are the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Diego Chargers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Whoa, what about the Broncos?
Listen to me. How many Super Bowls do the Pittsburgh Steelers have?
I believe they have 6. 6, I believe.
They have 6. How many do the 49ers have?
I believe they have 5.
They have 5. And who has the most out of all? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Do I, as a true Raider fan, want my arch enemy, the people I hate more than anything in the world? Do I want the Pittsburgh Steelers to have that record on their own? Absolutely not.
Good point.
So
that's a good point.
So follow along. So there's the difference between pro sports and between amateur sports, between high school sports. It's all about hate. It's not, yeah, gee, I'd like the 49ers to win. That would be cool because their quarterback has tattoos. No, it's because I don't want those stupid Pittsburgh Steelers to have that record all by themselves. It's all about hate.
Well, you know what? And I got to tell you, you made a fantastic point. And, Sonny, there's people listening, and I think that reacted adversely, and I heard it in you too. But if you really think about it, that's the hated enemy. When you're talking to an old school Raider fan, they hate the Pittsburgh Steelers more than anybody else because who's the team that kept the Raiders from winning Super Bowls. The Raiders went to 5 straight AFC Championship games in the 70s, and who's the team that kept them from winning those Super Bowls? It was the dang Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a very good point.
It's true.
And that wound cuts deep, baby. That wound cuts deep. It cuts deeper. That's a deeper wound than Rocky Blair's half foot. Sorry I had to go there, but it's true.
Hey, Uncle Mark, you grew up in San Jose in the heyday when Oakland sports were good. The A's were winning, the Raiders were winning. What was that like? Because for the most of my life, I had Marcus Allen, but I was a kid. Bo Jackson came in. Raiders had some decent teams with Hostetler and stuff. They went to the Super Bowl, got killed, in 2002. The Raiders haven't been good for most of my life, but I can't not root for them. I mean, it's almost like it's just ingrained in me, But what was it like to be in that area when they were good?
It was amazing, and when we had players, son, we had jokes. You'd throw the ball anywhere near Fred Biletnikoff. It'll stick to him. It doesn't even have to hit him in the hands. We would joke because he had so much stickum on him. Otis Sistrunk. Otis would say, they'd have the thing on the TV. Oh, this guy went to UCLA. This guy went to Otis Sistrunk, the University of Mars. You had Jim Otto, Double O. You had Kenny the Snake Stabler, who lived in the off season with what's his face, Margaritaville. I bet you didn't know that one. They were roommates for years. Him and Jimmy Buffett.
Really?
Yeah. Stabler had a place down in Florida that he and Buffett roomed together. It was a crazy time. And of course, then we only had the 2 hated teams. Okay, the Broncos are pretty close up there now, in being a hated team. But we hated the Chiefs and we hated the Steelers, man. And it was crazy. It was such a good time. I remember the first time I ever went to a World Series. I went with both your dads, and it was nuts. It was nuts. We were in the third deck behind home plate at the World Series, and your uncle Murph, stood up and screaming when the A's won, and he's screaming, and he's going, ah! And he falls over and slams into these Dodger fans, and we thought that was the funniest thing we ever saw in our lives. With Murph laying there bleeding, and these Dodger fans are going, I think this guy is your friend, we're just, he'll be all right, But it was just, it was the heyday, man. It was a heyday, and the funny thing was the A's were just coming into their own. Everybody out there had their, Charlie Finley was a knucklehead, man. He was great, and I remember when they traded. I'm getting off of Charlie Finley, but I remember when they traded Catfish Hunter, and I think the headlines on the paper of the San Francisco Chronicle said the sun has risen in the west.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice.
Because they always, but there was just so much unique stuff. Vida Blue had a blue baseball glove. There was just little stuff like there was, Raleigh Fingers had that first guy to come out in that modern era with the throwback handlebar mustache. And Murph, your dad tried to grow one like that one time. It didn't work.
You bring up. I was actually going to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought up about Raleigh Fingers. The kind of the cool thing about the Raiders and the A's and even the Warriors to some extent in the 70s, they were all winning championships. They were all incredibly successful, and they were all kind of took on that East Bay kind of a little bit of a harder edge than their counterparts across the Bay. It was a little bit of a harder edge. It was, there wasn't the dress codes. There wasn't any rules on facial hair. They had long hair. Snake had it flowing out of the back of his helmet, just like Joe Rudy did. Was that really a reflection of the East Bay and of San Jose, and of that, and how much of a contrast was that versus like what was going on with the Giants at the time and even the Niners, who, well, granted, the Niners weren't successful at that point, but were they truly a reflection of like what you guys were doing? Because you were a teenager in your early 20s through all that time, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, actually, yeah, no, just about getting there. In the late 70s, I was in the 70s. I was a teenager, and then I got into my 20s and late 70s. But the Giants were old school purist baseball. You're talking Mays, McCovey, Jim Ray Hart. You're talking Juan Marichal. You're talking now. You want to talk rivalries? You want to talk the Giants-Dodgers rivalries? It's still going on. People are getting killed now.
One of the best rivalries in history.
But that was your old-time purist baseball. You're talking. My mother used to take us to Candlestick Park, and we would go out. She'd buy the cheap seats, and we'd go, and we loved them. We'd go out and sit in the bleachers, and we'd go to get there 3.5 hours early. We'd go with Murph. We'd go with your mom and son. We'd go with your dad. The whole family would go. I remember one time I was living with Sonny's dad, and it was the Cardinals were playing the Giants. Excuse me, the Cardinals were playing the Giants, and it was 1976, and it was a Friday doubleheader. And your dad comes into my room. We were living together, right? I'm a junior in high school. We're living together, and he comes in and he goes, "Hey, this what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, man, it's early, man. I got to get up. I got to go to school." He's like, "I'll call in for you. You call in for me." I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'll call in for," because he was my guardian, And he goes, I'll call in and tell him you're sick. You call into my work and tell him you got arrested. And I got to come get you. And I didn't even hesitate. I said, "Okay, then what are we going to do?" And he goes, "Just make the call." So we make the call. He goes, "We're going to the Giants game." Okay, so we go to the Giants game, right? We go to the Giants game. It's a doubleheader. It's a Giants Cards doubleheader. We're fired up, man. First game was like a morning game. It was like 11 o'clock or something. The two longest games in the history of the sport. I think the first one went 14 innings. The next one went like 12 innings. And we're down, and it's like the second game, second inning, and we got like $3 between us. and he goes, "Well, we can get a hot dog or a beer." And I go, "Well, I don't drink." And he goes, "Well, it sucks to be you." I'm like, wait. But that's, and I tell you that story to tell you that that's what we did. We went, when we wanted to see the purists, man, when we wanted to go see Lou Brock play for the Cards, we went and watched the Giants. When we wanted to go see, towards the end there, Gaylord Perry was coming back and he was pitching for I think it was the Padres at that time. Or I think McCovey went and played for the Padres too towards the end of his career. If we wanted to see these guys we grew up with as we got older in the late 70s, we'd go to the Giants games. But when we wanted to go and just raise Cain, because you could bring beer into the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, you could bring it in like milk jugs and stuff. So it was cheaper than buying beer. So by that time it was like, yeah, that was the party place. So there was kind of those two different mentalities. Let's go to the A's game and just rock it out and have a good old time, and let's go to the Giants game and watch the purest baseball.
Is there
anyway.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, my father told me the story is very similar to that about being able to. The rule at the Oakland Coliseum was you could bring anything you wanted to into the stadium to drink as long as it was in a plastic container. So everybody used to fill up a gallon milk jugs. They'd go buy a gallon of milk, dump the milk out, rinse the thing out, and then fill the thing up with beer. And my dad would tell me, it wasn't so bad until about the 6th inning, and your thing's about half drained, and it's a warm Oakland night, and you're drinking, warm, cheap beer. But yeah, that's pretty funny. It's so funny the way that they are nowadays with everything as strict and as regulated as it is. That back then you could just bring a gallon of beer with you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there
It was cool, you know. I mean, and they would do stupid stuff. Like everybody would bring frisbees. Everybody in the upper deck, on the third deck, would bring frisbees. And what they used to do is they used to fling the frisbees onto the field. And most of the time, you know how the old Oakland A's Coliseum was. From the third deck, I mean, you had to be like incredible at flinging a frisbee, right? And they would usually go, you know, like over the third deck, and then they would land in the second deck or whatever. But I'll never forget, we had this guy, man, with us one time, and I can't remember the game, but it might have been like a playoff game or something. And he flings this frisbee, and it goes all the way to the pitcher's mound. He got a bigger standing ovation than he did. I'm serious. You know, and he's standing up there screaming, "Ah!" You know, everybody's pointing, "Yeah, that's the guy." You know, and it was like all of a sudden he was a celebrity. You know, and it was this old dried up, hagged out, ignorant hippie. You know, who borrowed the $7 from me, and I think he never paid me back to get his ticket. But anyway, he chunked his favorite frisbee. Yeah, it was different, man. There was a lot of innovation going on the East Bay at that time, so it was pretty cool. Of course, Oakland was, you know, it was kind of a scary place to go anyway. It was you only went there for one of two reasons. You went there either to buy drugs or you went there to see a A's game. You know, I mean, you had no business. If you were from San Jose, you had no business in Oakland.
And if you went to a Raiders game, you could watch sports and buy drugs at the same time, right?
Well, yeah, everything happens in the parking lot. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what made you get out of coaching? You said you did it 20 years. You just get tired of it? Did you accomplish everything you wanted to do? Did you ever have a desire to go to the collegiate level?
You know, if you're a coach and you say that you've accomplished everything you want to do, you were probably never really a good coach, because you know, once you win the highest level you can win, then you want the next word out of your mouth better be dynasty. You know, just to see if you can do it again. You know, it's like I wouldn't say that I ever really got out of coaching. I mean, I'm a theater teacher and I produce plays, so I'm still coaching. I'm coaching my actors on stage. You know, we're doing a show right now called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Okay, and at the end of every rehearsal, we get in a big huddle and we put our hands in and we go 7-4-7. You know, just like we would have done it, you know, in another sport. It's kind of funny though, because I'm a theater teacher, and I was probably, and there's not many men theater teachers anyway. And to be a wrestling coach, I think I was probably the only wrestling coaching theater teacher in the state. But I changed positions. I'm at another school, and I don't have the coaching responsibilities. And you know, but now I'm coaching my grandchildren. I've coached my grandson and my great nephew, Murph's son, in wrestling, and I've coached him and also in baseball. And the cool thing is now I'm not a head coach anymore. Now I can be the fun coach. I'm the assistant, and Murph's got all the headaches. And there's and that's awesome, because if anything goes wrong, I just tell the parents, no, it was Murph's decision, not mine. You know, so you know, once a coach, always a coach. You never really get out of it.
Is there a different?
I'm maybe not coaching organized sports. I coached soccer for the first time this last little go around, and you know, I've always hated soccer. I never understood it, but to get out there with 8-year-olds, it's a blast, man. I had more darn fun with that stupid game. Of course, you know, I was probably saying some of the wrong things, you know, not knowing that at 8 years old you're not supposed to scream and yell at them and tell them to knock each other down. But
yeah,
you know,
that comes natural
somehow.
So, is there a different? What's the difference between or what's the difference in the joy factor, or what you get out of it, from coaching high school sports to coaching 8-year-olds? Because it sounds like you enjoy both, but I imagine it's maybe not for the same reason, or maybe it is.
You know, I tell you, as I coach my own family, there's something different in that. You know, I coached my stepson in wrestling, and that that was great. I mean, I totally love that. And so now to coach my grandson and to coach Josh's boy, Coach Murph's kid, you know, it's really cool. We have a tendency to be harder on our own. So what we have to do is we have to learn, and we get a lot more personal growth. We get more personal satisfaction sometimes when our kids do better. But we can also internalize a little bit more and say, you know, am I being too hard on him because he's mine? Or, you know, you get a little bit more time for self-reflection. But, you know, at the high school level, there's so much stuff that the kids can learn from. You know, if they're really, really good and they really, really excel and they go on to the next level, you know that there's going to be a few things that are going to happen. They're going to learn to really hone their skills. You're sending them out as just a diamond in the rough, man. You're sending them out as somebody that a coach at a college has said, you've got potential, and I think I can make you better. And you're turning them over to somebody else, and you'll hear back from them. They'll come back, and they'll see you every once in a while, or they'll send you a message on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and they'll thank you and this and that. But you know, you get your rewards when you turn them loose, man. When you kick them out of the nest, and you know that they're going to be able to stand on their own feet. And you know, in all reality, I've got a lot of kids. I mean, I'm talking, you know, dozens of kids that I've sent on that have gone on. Gosh, you know, in both wrestling, track and field, and cross country, and the ones that I'm the most proud of are probably the ones that have gone into the military. Either the Marine Corps or the Army, and even the Air Force, and have come back and said, you know, the stuff you taught me made basic training that much easier. You know, the ability to laugh at myself when I screw up, the ability to rebound from my mistakes, the ability to step up when I needed to step up and to push myself was probably the biggest rewards I ever got out of coaching. So, you know, when you're coaching 8-year-olds, and they're your own, and you get one set of rewards, and then when you're coaching other kids, and you know they're going to end up, you know, they're going out there and they're going to possibly fight and die for their country, but they're going to do it and thank you for it. Man, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
That's big. Hey, Uncle Mark.
Wow.
That's cool. We appreciate you coming on and talking with us, helping us out with our newly bred show here. We want to do about 10, 15 seconds of some rapid fire questions, basically a this or that type questioning. Some are kind of, you know, dorky, some are kind of fun, some are kind of sports related, all that stuff. You got a few seconds?
We're gonna call it 60 seconds with Sonny now.
Yeah. 60 seconds with Sonny.
I like it. 60 seconds with Sonny. How about and if Sonny, if you're sick one day, we can call it a minute with Murph.
A minute with Murph. Nice. There you go.
Yeah, you guys need to put me on staff. I can write this stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The first thing I do after the show.
Yeah, I'll be sitting here by the phone in my underwear like you guys are in your mother's basement. Okay, go ahead.
I thought this was confidential. All right, ravioli or chicken wings?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, because Murph was talking. Shut up, Murph.
Oh.
6 seconds was salty, not Murph. You got all excited. Minute with Murph, you got them all excited.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Ravioli or chicken wings?
Chicken wings.
Teaching theater or coaching sports?
Theater.
Ravens or Niners?
Niners.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
We can continue. Led Zeppelin or The Doors?
The Doors.
Jim Rome or Dan Patrick?
Dan Patrick.
Canned beer or bottled beer?
Kager.
Awesome.
Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Who do you hate more, John Elway or Terry Bradshaw?
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Man, that's hard. I'm going to have to say Elway.
Have to say Elway.
And I'll tell you why. I'll
Tell
tell
us.
you why, because Bradshaw broke my heart. Bradshaw broke my heart a lot. He redeemed himself a couple times in a few movies with Burt Reynolds, but he broke my heart a lot. But I had to actually live in Denver during the Elway craze,
Oh, geez.
and it was hard.
Brutal.
Can you imagine? Imagine
Jesus.
being the lone Raider fan in the Mile High City? The only good thing was, son, you don't remember it because you were too young, but you were there.
Yeah.
But you and your dad, and it was me and your dad, and that was it. We were in the Mile High City, and there's 5 million people in Denver in the metro area, and there's 2 Raider fans, and we got to hear all this crap about Elway. Yeah. Even though Bradshaw broke our hearts more, and I think that he had a little bit. I think his relationship with Franco Harris was a lot like Marino and the intern, but hey, who am I to say? And I think he might have paid him almost as much money. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, to each his own. It's got to be Elway. I hate Elway.
All right, Uncle Mark. Thanks for joining us on Twitter. You're at Coach Salty. Maybe we'll have you on a couple times a month, something like that. You're definitely a little more joke-friendly than me and Murph over here, the Sad Sack. So appreciate you coming on, and hope to see you soon.
All right, guys. Good to talk to you. Murph, I'll see you tomorrow. I'd say I'd be coming over wearing my 49ers jersey, but we ain't got none of those in this house.
Man, let's not push it to that extent.
I will
but
disown you both if you have 49er jerseys. Killing me.
Yeah. And I will be bringing the stuff. We are going for Chicken Wing Extravaganza number 3 into 2013.
Nice.
Cook it out. It's going to be fantastic. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No problem. It was great. Love you guys.
All right. Peace out. Love you too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to hit a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back.
This is Chris Hansen from Bleacher Report, and you're listening to
Sonny
and
Murph.
the Sports Degos.
Hi, this is Russell Baxter from ProFootballGuru.com. You're listening to
Sonny Murph.
the Sports Degos. They have a radio show you can't refuse.
All right, Josh. We're back in the Sports Murph. Your new coined name by our uncle. Josh, we got to stop having our family call in. If that's what happens, he calls in and busts our balls, for an hour, makes us change our names, then talks about how great he is. No wonder he loved coming on the show, huh?
Yeah, the Sports Degos is it's a family affair. We enjoy having our friends and family on. None better than Uncle Mark to come on, and I really, the direction of the conversation went really not where I expected it to go, honestly. And to hear that kind of an insight, looking at amateur sports versus collegiate and sports at the pro level, pretty good insight, man. That was pretty unique stuff. And kind of take us inside the mind of a coach, man. That was really good.
Who knew a guy in our family could have such insight, huh?
I know, right? It's kind of funny. I mean, there's been an occasional knucklehead in our family, but clearly Uncle Mark is not one. And something else too, keeping it as a family affair. We might have some more family members coming on next week. Look forward to that as well.
Josh, we're kicking around an idea next week. Let's just talk about it real quick.
Just throw it out there.
We might do a wives show, if you will.
It's gonna be right before Valentine's Day.
I think it's appropriate, and I think after what I put my wife through today about hurrying through her birthday 8-hour date so I could get home and do my podcast to the 3 people that listen, 2 if you take out my uncle, 1 if you take out you. I think it's appropriate that we have a show dedicated to those ladies who make our lives oh so wonderful. You know what I'm saying, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
A show that maybe our wives even host. Maybe the wives just take it over and, they run it. They talk. They do the interviews. Maybe they just, they interview other wives maybe who,
Yeah.
maybe other wives have sports issues, right? I put my wife through a lot regarding sports, and she puts up with a lot, and she's a soldier. But maybe we need to have her on to tell her exactly what it is. And maybe, Josh, there's other ladies out there that put up with it too, and maybe they'd like to voice their opinion. Is that making sense? Is that jiving, Josh?
Oh, yeah, it is, Sonny. And this one goes out to the ladies. The ladies, we're encouraging you to call us next week and talk to some other ladies and talk to them about how sports influence your life. Maybe not your life directly, but through your husbands. Because ladies, you put up with a lot. You put up with Madden football games. You put up with Sundays that we black out 9 hours of our time to sit in front of that TV and to watch our teams play. Sometimes we don't even watch our teams play. Sometimes it's Thursday night and we're watching Division II ball. Oh, yeah. You put up with a lot. You put up with a lot with us, ladies. So we want to have you call into the sports station.
Yeah, we're going to...
about it. Just keep remember one thing. Keep it smooth.
We're going to get that rocking hopefully next week. We'll get the live show happening. But for right now, we want to move into the Shut Your Mouth segment. Murph, what's the Shut Your Mouth segment this week? I don't think Murph is there. Murph is not there this week, so maybe we won't have a Shut Your Mouth segment. Maybe we're not going to touch on that topic right now. Maybe we'll touch on a different topic. Fat of the day. We're going to talk about Fat of the day. CC Sabathia is weighing in at 288.8 pounds. How do you play a professional sport in baseball as a pitcher and weigh 288 pounds? Shut your fat mouth. Put down the hot dog, pick up a baseball, practice a little more, and quit paying so much to the hot dog vendors and spend a little more time in the gym. 288 pounds? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. Shut your fat mouth, CC Sabathia. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Historical fact of the week. It's Italian themed. On this day,
the person whom you're trying to reach.
1932. On this day, 1932, a famous man, another famous businessman, went to jail. His name, Al Capone. On this day, February 2nd, 1932, Al Capone sentenced to jail for being a businessman. And, I don't want to spend any more time on that topic because I've heard Al Capone's a really good man. And we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come right back with the topics of the week.
Hey, you're listening to a podcast with Sonny and Murph. They'll make you a podcast poop. Hey, all you podcasters, put the Cheetos down, get out of your mom's basement, find a job, do something worthwhile. Hey, if that don't work out for you, listen to Sonny and Murph. They got some good stuff, you know what I mean?
All right, welcome back, all you Cheetos eating podcast listening to people out there in the internet world. If you got something to say, if you want to talk about some sports, call us up at 971-270-2007. We've already covered coaching and what coaching is. And I remember growing up, a good coach was a guy that I could relate to. A good coach was a guy that I knew I could trust. Was a guy that I knew that had my back and would stick up for me when times were tough. I remember one time my dad put me in a baseball game, minor leagues. I wasn't a pitcher. I played, right field, left field maybe sometimes if I was really good. And he put me in as a pitcher, and I had a horrible game. Bouncing balls before the plate, walking guys, hitting guys. It was horrible. Gave up like 6 or 7 runs. He pulled me off the field. I'm crying. I'm like, 11, 12 years old. He sits me on the bench, and I'm like, I ruined it. I ruined the game. I ruined the game for everybody else. I ruined the game for the parents. And my dad walks up and says, don't worry about it. He says, we'll get him next time. And it wasn't like he scolded me. It was that encouragement that I think a good coach does. And Josh, do you think a good coach is more of a encourager or a guy who busts your chops and you get better at, from the negativity that he points out? Or is it a positive coach that gets more done? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the essence of coaching is to get players in the best position possible to be successful. And so I think different players are motivated by different things. There are some that prefer maybe consciously, but some that respond more to a loud voice and a sharper tone. And then there are some that do not, some that are better motivated by just that quiet positivity. So I think that really you have to tailor your approach to your players, that you can't just take one overriding theme. But when it comes to amateur athletes, which I think is what we're mainly talking about, we're talking about kids, we're talking about high school athletes, you got to remember to keep it in perspective and as the big person. And what I mean by that is I look at coaching amateur sports is that there are big people problems and there are little people problems. And when you keep the focus on the little people problems, typically the success will come after that, because you're keeping them in the focus and not yourself or your success rate or wins and losses, things like that. And sports at the end of the day, until you get to the professional level, I think the teaching that goes on is much, much higher than what the fundamentals of the game are or what the wins and losses or the statistics are. When we play baseball as kids, what are we truly learning? Are we learning how to field ground balls and how to look off a guy trying to steal a base, or how to make contact and how to as you get older step into a curveball? And are we learning those things? Sure, but what's the real thing that we're learning there? Is that what are the life lessons that we're learning there? Those are the most important. We're learning how to function as part of a team. We're learning how to be gracious in defeat and as well as in winning. When you get older, girls are going to break up with you. You're going to get denied entrance into certain colleges. You're going to get fired from jobs. You're going to have a lot of things that you're going to face rejection or losing many, many times in your life as you grow up. How do you cope with that? How do you handle that? How do you react to that? You learn a lot of that stuff on the field. And so when you keep in mind that those are the lessons that we're teaching our kids, how do you conduct yourself in adverse situations? Do you lose your crap and scream and curse at an umpire if a bad call is made? Or do you just clap your hands and say, you know what, it's all right, let's move on? Those are the things, those are the examples that you're setting. And keeping that in mind, keeping the little people in mind and in focus first, I think that's truly the best and the only way that you can approach amateur sports. So that's a really roundabout answer to your question, but I think that you got to tailor it to each player and just remember to keep their best interest in hand first, and then that's where you see the success come after that.
I think that's a good point, is keeping their best interest first. I used to referee basketball games for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, girls and boys, and I did it for a couple years. The biggest thing I noticed is that, especially at the younger levels, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, I'll never forget this one scenario where I'm reffing a game, I'm running on the court, and there's 2 girls, opposite teams of each other. They're kind of just skipping down the court, talking to each other about, what were they talking about? Something that happened in school earlier in the day. they're oblivious to what's going on the court. Meanwhile, and I don't know if it was their parents or not, there's parents in the stands going crazy. There were times where I was stopped after a game and quizzed about certain calls I made and why I made them. And keep in mind, this was a league that didn't even keep score. It wasn't my choice. It was just how the association ran it. So you got these parents who are way more concerned about what's going on than the kids. And I've always thought, that's so backwards. Is it wrong for a parent to care more about it than the kid? I think it is when it causes, blood pressure to rise and for parents to get angry and upset at the refs and stuff. And the girls, they don't even care. And so are those parents really in it for the kid's best interest? Or are they trying to, not live vicariously, but get a certain pride or ego from watching their kids do well,
Well, absolutely, they're living vicariously. I don't think there's any reason to shy away from that term because I think that it happens on the regular. And, we all do to a certain extent. Do I want to see my sons do well when it comes to their baseball games? Absolutely. And do I find, joy in that when my kid makes a crucial out or gets a game-winning hit or absolutely. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking joy and pride in your kid's success, but when you allow it to then override your level of sportsmanship, like what you're saying, when you're talking about cursing and berating officials, when you're talking about overriding a coach, there's nothing worse than trying to coach a kid on the field and mama's at the backstop yelling at him. Or, there's nothing worse. So, when you allow those things to override those sensibilities, I think that's where it goes awry. Because we all want to see our kids do good. And not even just in sport, we just want to see our kids do better than we have done in lots of things, so in your life in general. So, there's nothing wrong with being a strong supporter of it. There's nothing wrong with being active. There's nothing wrong with being vocal. There's nothing wrong with all of those things as long as you keep it all in perspective and don't let them override your manners.
Good point. Josh, let's move into our stories here. First one is deer antler spray.
What a segue. I'm telling you, I feel like I got Regis as a co-host.
Deer antler spray.
Nothing like amateur sports to deer antler spray. Okay.
Hey, it's what it leads to. You start out playing because you love the game, or you think it was an abrupt. It wasn't. You start out playing for the love of the game. You're 12 years old, 8 years old, 7 years old. I was driving through Portland today, almost hit some people because I came around a corner. There's a dad throwing the ball with two young kids, maybe 10 at the most, just playing in the street. Dad's all-time quarterback. Kids are guarding each other. Those are great times. We all remember.
The all-time quarterback, man.
Yeah.
That's the best position ever.
We all remember being that kid playing in the streets. And then, for those lucky few, you get noticed. You play Pop Warner. Then you play junior high. Then you play high school. Then you're lucky enough to go to college. Maybe it's on scholarship. Then you're really lucky. You get drafted. And then next thing you know, you have a great career. And then stories come out. Deer antler spray. How does it go from amateur sports, playing for the love of the game, to people accusing you of taking deer antler spray? And on top of that, who the heck discovered deer antler spray works? Was it a process? Was it elephant tusks at first? Was it like walrus teeth next? And then was it like deer antler spray? Or did somebody know that like something inside of the deer antlers would make it work? Like, what happens there, man? I'm just so confused by the story.
There's something to look, and I'm not going to pretend to know all the details of this story, so save the emails, guys, but here's the gist of it. There's this breed of deer that grow their antlers quicker than any other animal in the planet. Okay, so the from the time that they start the antler to the time that it's fully grown, that elapsed period of time is shorter than, I don't know, whatever other horned animals there are. Okay, so there's a growth hormone inside those deer antlers that has been extracted out and put into this spray that you take and spray under your tongue. Now, here's where it starts to get a little goofy, okay? There's an element in that spray that contains, it's not HGH, but it's one of the chemicals or whatever it is that makes up HGH, which is clearly outlawed in the NFL and I think all sports now. But the only way to test for it is by blood. There's no P test for HGH. Okay, so all that said, I think athletes, as they continue to grow through the process of loving the sport, to continue loving the sport, but potentially having a career at it because they have a chance to be successful as they get older, and then especially when they get hurt, that's where these things come into play. I think that most of the performance-enhancing drugs that are going on in the leagues are on with guys that are maybe getting a little older, maybe a little injury-prone, whatever. They're trying to recover, okay? That's where these things come into play. Now, all that said, Ray Lewis was accused of this deer antler spray. Athletes have long known to take anything that gets them that recovery advantage. You listen to guys like Bill Romanowski. He talks about, that guy used to eat like shark cartilage. Like he would do all these different things, add these nutrients to his body so he could recover quicker and play on Sunday. I think Ray Lewis absolutely took deer antler spray. Do I think he knew at the time and all the way up until this story came out that it contained this chemical that was on the banned substance list? No, I don't think he knew about it. Do I think that when it came up, he should have said, you know what, I didn't know and I took this stuff? Yes. I think that if he would have stayed on the front end of it, that he would have, we're quick to forgive. The guy's got one game left in his career. He's not going to get suspended for the Super Bowl for deer antler spray. He should have just fessed up, raised his hand. And I hate it because he's a Christian man. He preaches good values, but I don't think he was 100% truthful on this thing. And so ultimately, I think that's where we get. Did Ray Lewis take steroids? Was he taking, Andro? Was he taking all these other things? Absolutely not. This is nothing. This is a trace amount of one little thing that ended up on a list, and I just don't think he was aware of it. But, the cover-up is always worse than the crime. I think you always got to just come out, stay out in front of the dang thing, and it'll go away quick.
Josh, I don't want to get into it. It's been beat over it's been beat too much, but, he's a good man, good Christian man, 6 kids, 4 chicks, or 4 different, wives or whatever, 4 different ladies, the murder thing, the deer antler spray thing, tainted, Is there anybody who goes through unscathed? Leading to the next guy, Marino.
Oh.
Marino's my favorite.
Our guy, man. It's our guy.
You're 4 years older than me. When I was younger, you were into the Dolphins, so I was like, sweet, I like the Dolphins too, Then I started watching him, and just Marino. I mean, he was just he was the guy. He was the best, he was the best. The quick release, the brash, kind of arrogance a little bit and stuff, but never had the good team around him, but retired with the number, all the numbers, man. He had all the numbers when he retired. And then he's living legacy. People, refer to him often as the greatest quarterback to never win a championship. CBS anchor doing stuff, weight loss or whatever he's doing and stuff. I see him on TV. And then this. Not only that, years. It wasn't like it came out, he admitted he was having an affair, his the lady's pregnant, and he, confessed to his wife. It wasn't that he came out and confessed that he did something wrong. It was like he got caught. And that's what I think is the bigger question. If somebody confesses to doing the wrong thing, are we, the media and fans, much more willing to forgive versus when somebody gets caught and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad, shouldn't have done it, didn't know, whatever these guys say for their excuses. Here's Marino paying this girl, or paying the lady, and then the girl millions for years, and then it finally comes out. It makes me sick. Makes me sick.
Let me ask
What's
you this.
worse? Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Just give me yeses or nos on these things. How many, or give me short answers, I'm saying. How many people are coming after VJ Singh this week?
I haven't heard of any.
Okay. How many people are clamoring for Andy Pettitte to stay out of the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I don't follow baseball too much, but I don't think any.
Okay. Andy Pettitte was on that same list that Major League Baseball, and I'm forgetting the man's name now, the congressman that got enlisted to investigate into MLB and the performance-enhancing drug use and the steroid scandal. But anyways, Andy Pettitte was on that list. Andy Pettitte came out and said, "Yep, I did it. I'm sorry." And Roger Clemens had his famous response was, "Well, Andy misremembered," because Andy included Roger in his account of what happened. Okay, he didn't misremember. Andy Pettitte admitted to it and moved on. And guess what? He came out kind of unscathed. When VJ Singh, the golfer, got listed on this report, the exact same one as Ray Lewis, he put his hand up and said, "I took it. That's true. I took it. I didn't know it was anything wrong with it." He got out in front of it. Now, granted, it's Super Bowl week. It's not golf week, but no one's talking about VJ Singh. It was a blurb. If you get in front of these things, you're absolutely right. They go away quicker when you spend millions of dollars trying to cover it up, or you're trying to save your image, or you're trying to A-Rod, who showed up again last week on another list of players for performance-enhancing drugs, and again he said no. It's like, come on, just admit it. If you just admit it, we all make mistakes. We are all human beings. We are imperfect, and we are all going to screw up. I just don't understand why it's such a problem to say I'm trying to keep my advantage as a professional athlete. These things are going on. I was injured. I was trying to recover quicker. Whatever the case may be. You know, it was just, and this just, hold on, this just in from the news desk. IGF-1 is the substance that's in deer antler spray. This was brought to us by Coach Salty. He's sending it to us. It's IGF-1. He says deer antler spray is the masking agent for IGF-1. So where I was saying this was something in the spray that it was unaware of, he's saying the spray is the actual cover-up of the IGF-1. Again, whatever it is, if Ray Lewis would have got out in front of it, what's the worst thing that can happen to Ray Lewis? What's the worst thing that can happen? The guy's done. After tomorrow night, he's not playing anymore.
Here's the worst thing. His legacy is tainted. But his legacy is more tainted if they don't admit it. Think of Lance Armstrong. Think of Roger Clemens. How much how much integrity?
Mark McGwire.
Yeah. How much integrity do these guys have who lied their asses off for years? Think of Lance Armstrong. When I was watching that crap with Oprah, even then you could tell he was shisty and he had these beady eyes and stuff, and he didn't want to admit it. He would admit it, but then he didn't want to really admit it and own it. And it just made me like, what a freaking punk. But ultimately, we're the suckers. Because we're the ones who idolize these guys and follow them. And Mark McGwire is my favorite baseball player. Dan Marino, you're the best. And that's shame on us for associating these guys for anything else than sports guys. And when you're at that level, you got to think pride is a big factor. Because what do you lose if you do come clean? The potential is that you're tainted for life. You're no longer as good as people thought you were. That story about Ray Lewis coming back from his injury and stuff and leading his team to the Super Bowl, it's now tainted. It would have been tainted either way. It would have been a little less tainted if he would have admitted it and he would have had a little more integrity. But the fact that he denied it and stuff, he's losing his integrity every day. And so I think it comes down to pride. It comes down to these guys not wanting to admit that they're not that great, and it ends up hurting them in the long run, you know?
Well, and again, to go back to it, I don't think that did Ray Lewis gain his edge that made him a Hall of Fame middle linebacker, possibly, I'm not going to say the greatest of all time, but in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time? Was it because of performance-enhancing drugs? Absolutely not. But did he take something to come back quicker from this triceps injury that he had? Did he take something? Did he put something in his body to try to gain a little bit of an advantage because he knew his clock was ticking, he knew his time was short, and he wanted to get back on the field as soon as he possibly could? And that desire to be on the field and that hunger to play the game and to finish out strong, did that taint his decision making a little bit and move it? Yeah, probably. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When you're looking, you have a 15-year career or however long he's been playing, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be done in 4 games. Yeah, pull this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And we're a forgiving nation.
When you own it, we are.
When you own it, yes, that's what I mean.
But look at him. He has 3 strikes. One, he's called the womanizer. 6 kids, 4 different ladies. Make that what you want. Moral, whatever. We don't know the situation, so how can we truly comment on it? The murder thing, again, only certain people know who was there, or the only people who know were there. And now this. There's 3 strikes against the guy. There's three strikes. And it's as Uncle Mark says, it's hero worship. It's hero worship. We worship our heroes. They're bigger than life, and then they let us down. But again, maybe it comes down to their personality, their character. Because if you look at the next topic, Adrian Peterson won MVP this year. Peyton Manning won Comeback Player of the Year. Those could easily be flip-flopped. You could easily say Adrian Peterson should win Comeback of the Year because of what he did. But there's a guy, how come, he was getting praised, and maybe it's just because they didn't make the Super Bowl and yada, yada, yada. Adrian Peterson did it the right way. So it can be done, and then does he get the credit and the fame and the notoriety as Ray Lewis? Because Ray Lewis did it, and maybe tainted himself, cheated a little bit, and got his team to the Super Bowl. And then Manning did it the right way. Peterson did it the right way, as we know of this date, but they're not in the Super Bowl. So cheaters win, right, Josh?
Yeah, well, he's certainly getting a lot more attention, and we don't know. We don't know what Adrian Peterson did to, in his rehabilitation. We didn't know what Peyton Manning did in his. I'm not by any means insinuating that they didn't do it completely legit, but, Adrian Peterson came back quicker from that injury than anybody in the history of the game ever has. And not only did he come back, well, I'm not going to say that. Other players have come back quicker, but not at the level that he has. Certainly not at the level that was challenging an all-time record, season record in Eric Dickerson's rushing record. So when you look at that, then you look at the rebound, and then you look at the success level, that's pretty amazing. We never saw that. We've never seen anything like that, just like we never saw Lance Armstrong do what he did. We never saw Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa do what they did. We never saw Roger Clemens do what Roger Clemens. It's like when you see, and that's the worst part about it, is that a guy like Adrian Peterson, who probably did it absolutely, completely clean, when you got players that set precedents like Clemens and Bonds and all these guys that have done that stuff, it taints the image, man. Because now we look at those big-time achievements. We look at Adrian Peterson coming within 9 yards of breaking Eric Dickerson's record, and maybe we go, I don't know. Did he, is it all legit? Well, I don't know. Adrian Peterson's a pretty stand-up guy. He says all the right things. He conducts himself the right way. He seems to be a very, classy guy, but we don't know. I don't know. We thought that about McGuire too. And then all of a sudden he got into court and said, I don't want to talk about the past. So I don't know. It's let me say this. It really stinks. And as a fan of athletes and a fan of sport, it really stinks, because we kind of latch onto these guys, and when it's gone too far, it's hero worship, but at its in its healthiest form, it's just we're fans. We just like watching these guys for whatever reasons, and and unfortunately we get let down, when Jason Giambi when you watch a guy play like that, and you look at him and you're like, man, this guy's a great baseball player. He's kind of gritty and he's got long hair and he hits a lot of home runs. And dang it, he took drugs to get that way and to hit all those home runs.
So let me ask you a question. Ray Lewis cheated on the field. McGuire, Canseco cheated on the field. Marino cheated on his wife. Do you now look at Marino differently than you did
that's
before?
The worst one.
I mean, and then why is that? And then should we?
Well, because that's honestly
should we have never looked at him in that light to begin with?
Yes.
So maybe it's our fault, right?
Yes, but and all of them are cheating, and so therefore, if it's a cheat, it's a lie, and you're not supposed to do that, right? So, I mean, there's no one is not. Not to get theological, but they're all sins, right? All sin is equal. All crimes are equal.
Well, they're all doing the wrong things.
They're all doing the wrong thing, right? So none of them are doing, it's like, oh, well, that's not so bad. He's only lying, and this guy's only doing this thing. This guy's only committing adultery. It's not like, they're all bad. Okay, but that said, the guys that are doing things to gain a competitive advantage on the field, those things don't influence my opinion of them as much as the guys who do the stuff off the field and then cover it up, because that speaks to them as men. That speaks to them, or as people or whatever.
Why are we drawing our cues to what manhood is from them from the first place?
Right, and unfortunately, it's incumbent upon us as parents to teach our kids and to keep that in perspective. But there are lots of occasions where, as kids, whether it's Willie Mays or it's Mark McGuire, you latch onto them and you look at them to be your role models in life. And I would rather have let me put it like this: I had the toughest conversation with my oldest son at the time. He was 6. The toughest conversation I ever had was when he said, "Dad, how come Tiger Woods isn't on TV anymore?" Okay, that's tough. Okay,
Tiger Woods is on her.
Yes, because he was. It was like after the big, because we watch golf. I'm not a huge golfer, but I do enjoy watching the majors and things like that. And so when the Tiger thing happened, all of a sudden he wasn't in tournaments anymore. If you remember, he took a lot of time off, and so it was like when golf was on, Tiger wasn't on, and so he just said, "Well, where's Tiger?" I'm like, "Oh, well, Tiger's taking some time off." Well, why? Buddy, he just needed a break. It's like that's a hard conversation to have as a parent versus, what's going on with McGuire? Well, he did something he shouldn't have. He took some pills to make him stronger so he could hit more home runs. Oh, okay. Well, he kind of got that. Well, you're not supposed to do that. Oh, okay. He kind of got that too. But you can't get into details. You can't talk about what Tiger Woods did. You can't talk about what Marino did. So those are tough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. We gotta wrap it up, Josh. Real quick, last story of the day. We're gonna break down the Niners and their contribution to NFL history. Maybe include we'll talk about Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, all those great players from back in the day. But we're out of time, so I'd like to apologize to the Niners fans who maybe were listening. Any thoughts on that, Josh?
Nope, none at all. Let's move along.
Okay. All right, Josh. Well, I'm sorry, Murph. It's going to take me a while to call you Murph. I've been calling you Josh for over a year now. Well, longer than that, but radio-wise. Radio-wise, I've been calling you Josh. In life, I call you many other things. But, so Murph, thanks for another show. Thanks to Coach Salty, a.k.a. Uncle Mosh, a.k.a. the champion chicken wing eater, a.k.a. the only man I've ever seen shoot a double skeet, drop his pants, pick up a shotgun, shoot both of the skeet before they hit the ground whole. You can find him on Twitter.
Man of many talents.
You can find him on Twitter at Coach Salty. I'm sure he's going to come back, hopefully, again to our show. And Josh, Murph, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Man, boy, this was a fun topic-filled show. We didn't get to a few things. We'll maybe touch on them next week. Hey, have fun tomorrow. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be a historic game either way.
Who do you got? Who do you got tomorrow?
My head tells me it's the Niners. My heart's going with the Baltimore Ravens. If I had to bet my mortgage, I would say 34-31 Niners, but I'm hoping that it's going to be 38-17 Ravens. I want to see Ray get that ring, but even more importantly, I want to see Ed Reed. I want to see Terrell Suggs. I want to see Haloti Ngata. We think about the Ravens team and we think about them being together for a long period of time. They have been, but they all came in after the 2000 season when the Ravens got that first ring. I want to see those guys walk off the field with a ring. But you know what? It's also a good story if Randy Moss does. So either way, it's historical. I'm looking forward to it.
I want to see Joe Flacco get the ring because I enjoy the conversation, is Joe Flacco elite or not? And maybe that'll be the conversation next week. But until then, good luck, safe driving. Make sure you drink lots of yummy bottled beer. And thanks again to Coach Salty for joining us.
Hey, you're listening to a podcast with Sonny and Murph. They'll make you a podcast poop.